Sitting here with me as well are the other members of the committee, and we're all members of the board, of the Community Oversight Board. And so to my right is Andres Martinez, and to my further right is Danita Marsh, and to my left is Jamel Campbell-Gooch, and then Brenda Ross, and then Adele Lewis. And then Director William Whedon, who is the director of the Oversight Board, so he oversees the staff. And then, Mr. Whedon, would you mind introducing your staff members who are here?
Yes, indeed. We have Ms. Paula Person, who is our executive assistant, Tom Pinkley, our legal advisor, and right over here to my right, at the back there, is Vern Johnson. He's an investigator. And then we have Mr. Peter Delaire. He's our lead research analyst. And next to him is Ms. Jill Pitcher, our assistant director. And next to her is April Williams, also an investigator. And lastly, next to April is Brinsley Thompson, our community liaison. Missing today, we have Peter Ramirez is not here today. He's out of town. And Liz Orozco, who is also a research analyst, will be joining us in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. So for the last while, we have been working on this MOU, this Memorandum of Understanding document that you have. We started with drafts that were provided to the committee by Director Whedon, and he started the drafts by looking at the rules and guidance to the Office of Professional Accountability, OPA, at Metro, and then looking at other cities and see what kind of documents that they had for the working relationship between boards like ours and police departments. And then the committee met and has gone through several different drafting sessions in that process of trying to find a document that would be a good starting place for our position to negotiate with the police department. So what you have there in front of you is what will be our proposal once it's finalized. We have not had any negotiations back and forth with the police department as far as developing this document that's there in front of you today. The reason for having a memorandum of understanding is because in order for us to do our job as the Oversight Board, we will need to get information from the police department that they may have or have the ability to get, or to get in a quicker way than we might have the ability to get. And so to have a mechanism by which we can get information from them and by which we can get access to people within the department, and that there's a commitment that they're going to cooperate with us in whatever investigation we're going to be doing. Also, there's an issue as to the authority or the jurisdiction that the Oversight Board has. And in certain ways it's broad, and in certain ways it's narrow. It's broad in the sense that it says that we can investigate issues concerning complaints for violations of policy, for the violation of civil rights laws, and for criminal laws. But once you start talking about violations of policy in the police department, those could be matters that affect the public, and it could be matters that don't affect the public or don't affect the public directly. So is it the best resource for the board to investigate everything it possibly can investigate? Or is it best to come up with an understanding for a division of responsibility as to certain types of matters, and as we viewed them, the non-public matters, as far as the process. If we don't have any type of memorandum of understanding, what that would mean is that the police would do what they do if there's a complaint, the board would do what it does if there's a complaint, and they might both be doing those at the same time. And doing those at the same time can cause difficulties in us doing what we're supposed to do. You know, is a witness going to talk to two different groups? If they talk to one group, will they refuse to talk to the other? If you don't have an agreement, you end up both parties talking to the same people at the same time. If we do an investigation and reach whatever conclusion we do and then make a recommendation, which is all that we can do at the end, and the board has done a separate investigation and they've already reached a conclusion, are they going to consider the recommendation we've made, or are they going to say, well, thanks an awful lot, but we've already done it, we've already made a decision, and therefore, you know, you haven't provided us with anything new. So those are some of the background issues as to why you want a memorandum of understanding in the first place. And so we then tried to come up with something that we think that would be useful for us to do what we want to do, that can make us the most productive in doing that. And then we'll make that proposal to the police department and we'll negotiate something, and hopefully we'll then come up with an agreement that will be useful and practical and promote what the citizens have decided that they want this board to do when they adopted the charter amendment in the first place. So once we hear from you and consider the written comments that we've gotten, and we've gotten a few in that regard, this committee will meet again, and we're going to meet again on September 13th. And we're going to meet over at the Davidson room over at the Metro office building. And that'll all be calendared and that'll all be announced. But we'll be meeting over there at 4 o'clock, and we will then go through another revision to this draft in order to finalize the proposal that this committee will then make to the board. The board meeting is not scheduled yet because our regular schedule date has to be changed because staff is going to be out of state for training when we would normally have a board meeting. So that's being rescheduled. We'll pick a new date, I think, tomorrow night, but we don't have one yet. But again, that will be announced, and then there'll be a consideration by the board of that draft that we proposed to them, and then they'll finalize it and give approval to Director Whedon to then undertake the negotiations with the police department. And then from that, there'll be a final agreement that will be reached subject to approval by the board. All right, we have several people who have asked to speak tonight, and the first is Nick Cavin. So, Mr. Cavin, if you'd come on up here, and you've got 3 minutes, if you would. And Mr. Whedon, are you going to tell him on the timing, or? Okay. Mr. Pinkley has a.
Ooh, a bell.
What? Oh, C-A-V-I-N. Okay. Mr. Pinkley will let you know when you got a minute left. Thank you.
Well, good evening. Thank you for hosting this forum. My name is Nick Cavin. I'm from the group Community Oversight Now, who helped get the signatures and get this petition on the ballot for the people of Nashville to vote on. So we sent a letter, but I didn't see it included in the list of what you received, so I'm going to go ahead and read it again with a couple of addendums. So, dear Mr. Whedon and the Community Oversight Board members, thank you for all the work you have put in since the launch of the Community Oversight Board earlier this year. We reviewed the draft of the Memorandum of Understanding with MNPD and have two major concerns. The first concern pertains to testimony before the COB by a person filing a complaint against the MNPD. It is our understanding that the MOU or related rules and regulations may allow for an officer to be notified of a complainant who may testify before the board in a misconduct investigation. It is unclear if the officers will be allowed to offer counter testimony on the same day of the complaint's testimony. If so, our concern is that the officer's presence may be intimidating or coercive, even if unwarranted or unintended. One example may involve people bringing testimonies in alleged misconduct cases related to undocumented residents or mixed status citizenship families. There may be a circumstance in which witnesses who then may be involved in deportation proceedings. There are other examples in which the testimonies may be curtailed by the mere presence of the offending officers. Our hope is that the COB will build in safeguards to ensure that same-day testimonies before the board are free of intimidation or coercion. Secondly, we are aware that investigation may consider the personal histories of both the complainant and the officer. We understand that this can help the COB members identify officers who are chronically involved in misconduct. However, our concern is that the COB may unfairly question the credibility of a complainant if he or they have been involved in the criminal justice system. Again, we hope that the COB will build in safeguards to ensure that complainants are treated fairly. Please contact us if you have any more questions or concerns. Thank you for your dedication for making Nashville a safer place for everyone. And a couple of things to add on to that. One thing we saw is that we would appreciate maybe some more firm deadlines on some of these, making some of these documents public. That would be appreciated. And then we also noted that all employee on employee infractions will be investigated by the OPA. And one thing that we heard over and over again from officers during our campaign was that the OPA is biased not only against the public, but is also biased against officers in the MNPD. So I'm not sure if there's a legal issue there, if it's impossible for you to also investigate employee on employee infractions, but I would encourage you to revisit that if legally viable. I think that's all we got.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Do you have a copy of the letter that you can leave with Mr. Whedon just to make sure that we got that?
I can email it to you.
I've got an email.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, super. Thank you. Yeah, you can then get it to us as well.
I don't have the addendum.
Okay, yeah, I can email you that. Am
Thank
I
you.
able to answer questions, or is it just?
No, at this point, it's
Okay.
just we're hearing from you. Okay? Thank you very much. All right, then Timothy Hughes.
Thank you,
Hughes?
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
My name is Timothy Hughes. I'm a representative of Black Voters Matter. I'm also a representative of Gideon's Army Board over there. Many of the comments that I wanted to put forward to the board and this committee today were actually already given voice to by Nick, and so I won't reiterate them. So I'll make sure that I would thank Nick for his comments and for community oversight now speaking their truth tonight and making sure that we make this MOU as strong as we possibly can. I would just like to reflect the sentiment of the community, saying that we definitely want to make sure that the community oversight board is successful.
Can we adjust the volume in any way? Ms. Ross can't hear very well. Or can you speak up just a little louder,
I
Mr.
certainly
Hughes?
can. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak before this committee this evening. Many of the comments that I was going to make were actually given voice to the previous person who spoke, and so I won't reiterate them at this time. I just wanted to share the sentiment that the community is very eager to see the Community Oversight Board be successful and its work be pushed forward as successfully as possible. So thank you for the opportunity to give public comment this evening.
Absolutely. Anything further to add? No, any other substantive comments?
No other substantive comments at this time. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much, Mr. Hughes. then Constant Millette.
Well, greetings to each one of you,
Hi.
and I am very pleased to have this
Would you
opportunity.
mind using the microphone just so that we could all...
Is there a place where it can be? Because it's very difficult for me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That doesn't.
Okay. Is this any better?
It's not working. Oh, good. So we're going to hold it for you.
Okay, good. All right, so I wanted to make it known that I believe that, and I do represent those little ones who don't know the Constitution, the teenagers who are not getting government in high school, and the citizens who do not know that they have rights. Those are the people that I'm mainly interested in. And I want to say also that I ran and got my Constitution, because that Constitution, as I am a traveler of the world, everyone in many countries that I have visited, they love our Constitution. And because they don't want to be under someone, like a person who's telling them dictators, they don't like that. This is wherever I've gone. I specialize in Africa, South America. So therefore, I want to specialize and speak about the amendment number 14 of the United States Constitution, because I want the police department to know that we want to be present whenever some type of crime is committed by a policeman, because we pay him or her, and so they work for us. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property, where without due process of law, nor deny to any person within the jurisdiction of equal protection of the law and by the law. That is very, very important. Common law is very important. Many of us don't understand common law. My former husband, who is a lawyer, and he was very excited about common law as he went through law school. He was a very bright person, and is too today. So I want to emphasize that this amendment number 14 is very important, and we want the police to know that we citizens, all of them, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, we want to see them. We want to have access. If you're bringing them in, we want to know about it. We don't want to know about it 2 weeks from now. We want to know about it today. You brought them in today, we want to know about it today. And that's the way I think the most of us feel about the police and their, the way they work with us. They have to know that they work for us. They work for us as citizens, and they should like that. If not, if it's too much for them, they might tiptoe to another job. That's it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right, I think that's everybody who signed up. Was there anybody else who wanted to speak who hasn't signed up? All right, then thank you very much for everybody coming. We will consider the information that you've provided to us, both in writing and here tonight, and then we will work on revising the draft that we have now in light of those. And please come to our meeting where the committee will discuss the input that we've received and any revisions that we're going to make. And then we'll make the proposal to the board, and then the board will consider it and discuss it as well. So please come to that as well. All right? Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.